Good evening. We appreciate you being here. We know that you had the opportunities to be other places, but we appreciate your spending time with us. You might notice that we've changed the name of this thing to CART Conversations. And the reason being, it is not limited to district chairs. So you district chairs that are here tonight, if there are folks in your district you would like to invite to join us next month, please do so. For those of you DGs, DGEs, and DGNs who are on the call tonight, if there are folks in your district you would like to invite to join us next month, please do so. It's an open conversation about CART and about Alzheimer's research. And we appreciate everything that every one of you do to help us in that endeavor. And so tonight's event is just like every other month to provide you with information that might help you to promote CART and to promote Alzheimer's research. And with that, we'll turn it back over to Tiffany.
Thank you, Rod. So I appreciate all of you being here this evening. We're going to run through a couple of quick announcements, some very important dates for us to share with you. The next few months of CART Conversations are already scheduled in the DAC-DB calendar. You can go ahead and register for those. The next one will be Tuesday, March the 14th at 5:30, and the one following that will be Tuesday, April the 11th at 5:30. In addition, we have scheduled a training session for Tuesday, February 21st. That email went out to anyone who is currently signed up or scheduled to work at an upcoming PETS President-elect Training Seminar, but anyone is welcome to attend. It is in the DAC-DB calendar. So if you would like to participate in that, feel free to register so you'll get the exact same Zoom link that we always use. That will just be a 1-hour session that night. We're going to review some tips and tricks and best practices for doing displays and exhibits, but we're also going to share with you the template that we're going to be using for our displays at all of the conferences and all of the PETS. And I'm going to be getting boxes out to individuals who are scheduled to be somewhere. I think almost all of them I'm going to be able to hand deliver, with maybe the exception of Glenda and Elaine in Georgia. And I will get with you guys about maybe shipping yours. I'm not sure yet, but everyone else, we're handing them off to someone who's going to be there to save us some shipping costs. So make sure you put that on your calendar for February the 21st. And of course, we will record that as well and add it to our YouTube channel. The next big date that I wanted to give to you guys is a very exciting announcement. We have signed a contract for our 2023 annual meeting, and it will be held at the Embassy Suites in Greenville, South Carolina. And that will be on Monday, May 1st and Tuesday, May the 2nd. We will continue our previous schedule of doing some training on Monday afternoon and then having the annual meeting with our board meeting and our announcement and introduction of our researchers on Tuesday, and we will have an in-person and an online live stream version. There will be no charge to attend on Monday, May the 1st. For anyone who wants to come, it's not just for district chairs. Again, as Rod said, just like CART Conversations, it truly is open to anyone who wants to come. And then that evening, because Embassy Suites always offers the evening cocktail social hour as a complimentary benefit to their hotel, we will participate in the evening cocktail hour with our researchers who are in town. But we will also have some special guests with us that night who are going to be our hosts. I'm very excited to announce that we got a sponsorship to underwrite the cost of this event. So we will not lose money this year on our annual meeting. And our host and our presenting sponsor will be the Rotary Club of Greenville, South Carolina. And they are going to be serving as hosts for us on Monday nights, where many of their members will join us. They are going to be making dinner plans throughout the city and taking small groups. Dutch treat still, we will all be paying for our own meals, but they are taking care of all of those reservations and plans in advance for us so that we don't have to scramble at the last minute and decide who's going where. We simply get to pick which one of the restaurants that we want to go to. So I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Puryear, who is a member of that club, an active member of that club, and a big influence in that club. They have an active CART chair as well, Dave Carfelite, who I used to work with at WLOS, and we go way back in our TV days. And their president, Wade, has been a great supporter of CART this year as well. And they are taking some of the funds that they raised out of their fundraiser this past December, which I happened to attend, not because I was going to ask them for money, but because I wanted to support their cause. And so now I'm very grateful that they have agreed to be the primary presenting sponsor, which will allow us to not only have them host us on Monday nights, but they will have some tickets on Tuesday for the luncheon, and they will have an opportunity to mix and mingle with our researchers and give us a welcome to the city of Greenville. So I'm very excited that we are able to do something new this year. The event on Tuesday will be very similar to the formats we have had in the past. We did sign the contract with the hotel, but they have not provided me with the reservation link yet because that has to come from someone else higher up than the Greenville location. So as soon as I have the reservation link, I will make the event in DACDB active, and then you all can go online and register for the event. There will be a fee of $45 to attend in person, which will exactly cover your meal cost, which with all of the prices going up for things that they are these days, you guys should understand that if you're going to drink a cup of coffee, I want you to drink the entire cup because coffee is now $90 a gallon at a hotel. So we are very fortunate to have the Rotary Club of Greenville that is going to help us out with some of our expenses. But the lunch cost will be $45. If you are going to join us online, then there will be no charge to that. We will be streaming on our website, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and via Zoom. So there will be a link available for no matter which format you prefer. And we'll be sharing all of that information in the next 2 months as well. But I wanted you guys to know the first to know. So we're very excited about that. Again, it is a tentative hold in the district, in the DACDB calendar, but I will make that active as soon as we are able to provide you with the reservation link. We have a room block of 15 rooms. I believe we will far exceed that. I hope that many of you will choose to attend in person if you can. And as a reminder, for all of you who share this message back to your districts, that we have 2 voting members from each district that participates, and that is the district CART chair and the district governor nominee. So we hope that all of those folks will be able to attend and join us in person. So are there any questions about the annual meeting? Norm.
I went to the website for the hotel, the Embassy Suites, and they add about 70. Are you running into that they added something like $70 in taxes and everything to the room?
Every hotel adds their standard room tax, hospitality tax, depends on the city and the state. And then there's also the tax and gratuity. So you can always count on a plus, which is why the meal itself is $35. But when you add plus, it becomes $45. We were able to negotiate the room rate with the Embassy Suites. We includes free complimentary parking and Wi-Fi, as well as a hot breakfast on the morning and the complimentary cocktail hour the night before. And we got the room rate, I believe, at $159, I think, is our negotiated rate, which is incredible right now. As I'm traveling around and hearing about all of the district conferences and some of your room rates on hotels, it is incredible. So I'm very grateful that we were able to get it down to $159. But yes, there will obviously be some plus added to that. But don't make your reservation until you get the room link, because that's how you get our discounted rates. Suzanne?
What were those dates again? I'm writing our district governor nominee to see if I can get her to come.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. May 1st and 2nd.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that is typical for us. We are always on the first Monday and Tuesday of May. So that is not straying from our typical plan.
Well, I need you to put a date on your calendar. It is not an event. It is not a meeting. It's a deadline, and it's March 1st. Whatever we have in the bank, March 1st, is what we can give away as research grants this year. So our illustrious scientific review panel has waded through all the applications this year and narrowed it to 7 finalists. And I would love to give all 7 finalists what they need for research, but I know we cannot do that because we don't have that much money. So if you have a club in your district or 2 or 3 clubs in your district that have not sent in the money they've already collected in the blue buckets, please have them do that in February. If you have donors that are sitting on the fence that are saying, well, I want to give, but I haven't got around to it yet, encourage them to get on with it. February will be a wonderful month to put lots of money in the bank, because literally whatever's in the bank March 1st is what we can give away. If it's not in the bank March 1st, we cannot give it away. And so we are looking forward to lots of money coming in February so we can give lots of grants. Literally how it works is we at the executive committee meet with the scientific review panel shortly after March 1st. And the panel gives us their recommendations in order of possibility for success. And then however many of those we can fund, we vote to fund them. And the others, we simply have to say, apply again next year. We don't have the money this year. And so put March 1st on your to-do list as a deadline and help us collect some more money between now and then. I can tell you that reading the 7 finalist projects, they're all terrific projects, but I know in my heart of hearts that we will not be able to fund them all, but we're going to fund as many as we possibly can. We need researchers, we really do, because it's through them that we're going to find a cure. And we need to pay for as many of those research projects as we possibly can. So put March 1st on your calendar as on your to-do list. But Tiffany?
Thank you, Rod. So hopefully you, oh, yes, Norm.
You sent an email, Tiffany, that had 720,000 on it at a date. When did we hit the 720?
That was our numbers as of the end of January. Those are the last figures that we have. And that was really equivalent to last year. We're really even pretty much from same year to date from last year. So it was right at 720,000, which is incredible when you think about we got to 850,000 by March. So it can be done this year if everyone gets their contributions in. Thank you, Norm. Any other questions about that?
I've got one question, Tiffany. Exactly what to tell the treasurers of the clubs where they should send the money that they've collected.
Absolutely. It should all go into the donor portal. They can go to mycartfund.org and they can make contributions on behalf of individuals or clubs or districts. And a club treasurer should be able to log in and do that on behalf of their club. The district chair should be able to do that on behalf of any club in their district and any individual. And if you don't have the proper security level in there yet to do that, just let Michelle know. She can get that updated for you. We had that issue earlier today, working on some things with Gary, and because he had changed clubs not too long ago. So it does recalculate all of that, but you should have the ability to do all of that yourself. But I would not ask them to mail checks, and if they're going to mail a check, have them mail it to you as the district chair, and then you enter it in the portal. But that is the best way to ensure that your district gets credit for it, because if someone goes to Wells Fargo and makes a deposit or mails a check to Johnny and Angus, they may not mark it appropriately, and the correct district may not. I mean, the money will still get in the checking account, and we know that the money is going to the right place. It just may not be attributed to the right district.
All right.
mycartfund.org. All right. So I did send out an email earlier this week to all of you guys and to our governor chain. I just want to remind you, in case you didn't see it, that we do have 2 new districts who have come on board. One in the state of Florida, who has previously been a non-giving, non-participating club, and that is District 6980. DGE Don Harris has appointed Bob Agnew. Many of you may know Bob, or you have met him at a PETS or a district conference. He is the owner of Jerry White Pen Company. And he is also the one that designed our recurring giving pens that we're currently giving out. And he will be having our new CART pens when those come out as well. He's a longtime supporter of our organization, so we're very excited to have him come on board. And we just got a new district in Missouri. District Governor-elect Randy Steinman has appointed Billy Billy Ray Preston is going to be the district chair out in 6040. So we are excited. I'm sorry they cannot be with us tonight, but they are now on our email list, and we look forward to getting them indoctrinated into what it is we do and having them participate in all of our activities as we continue to grow. So those were some really good pieces of news for us this past week. The other news that you may have seen in our e-news, or excuse me, just the email that I sent to all of you all, is the announcement of our new online apparel store where we can now sell branded merchandise. So I wanted to just give you a quick update on how this works, and I wanted to show it to you. For those of you who maybe did not look at it yet, I want to share my screen and show you that this is what it looks like. And this will change in the center every month with new deadlines, because basically we will be updating this store on a monthly basis and offering some new items. If there's something in particular that you're interested in, let me know. We can look at adding that. But we're very clear on here that a portion of the proceeds of our sales will go to TRAC, which is our operating organization, our supporting organization. And there will be at the top of the homepage every time a deadline to place orders in order to receive it by a certain date. So we were in a hurry to get some things out for those of us who are going to pets and the conferences that are early March and during the month of March. And so that deadline was yesterday. If you wanted to have something in hand by the first week of March, the next deadline is March the 3rd. So you now have the next 3 weeks to go online and shop and purchase the items that you want in order to have those by March 31st. So they're broken down by unisex apparel, men's apparel, women's apparel, and some headwear. Now, if there are certain items that you would like to have, again, if you'll let me know, we can look into those and see what the pricing opportunities are. Our amount that we make as far as profit on each one of those will be a little bit different. It depends on the cost of the item. And that will all come directly back to TRAC once those orders are placed every month. The orders will be drop shipped directly to anyone who purchases. So this is nothing for you to have to worry about. You don't have to take orders. You don't have to collect money, and you don't have to ship or deliver any product. We're trying to make this as seamless as possible. We are working with a company in Georgia. It is in District 6900. She is a Rotarian in the Rotary Club of Alpharetta, and she does this for numerous other organizations. And so we're very excited that her and her business are helping us to raise a little extra money for CART. There are two different types of products. There are both embroidered items and transfer items. And so it will say that very clearly on the item. So when you read the description, many of the items come in various colors that you can select from as well. And eventually we want to add some hard good items like cups, umbrellas, things like that. But I'm telling you that now as a heads up, because most of those items do have minimum orders of at least 12. So if you want to buy something as a giveaway in your district, or if you have a budget in your district that you can use, then we could offer that. But we can't just offer one umbrella or one cup. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. It's some short sleeve, long sleeve t-shirts, some women's blouses, some men's dress shirts, some quarter zips, some hoodies, and of course, 3 different styles of hats. So did anybody on here order something? Michelle did. Glenda? I know I did. I don't know if anyone else did. I think Rod did maybe. So that first order has been placed, and Rod did, yes. So the first order has been placed. I can't wait to see how they look. We'll have them in time to wear to our pets during the month of March. And then if you would like to go online and order something now, then you will have it by early April, which means you'll have some things hopefully to wear to some of your district conferences. Any questions about the online store? I will add that it is not yet on our website. We wanted to do this first run as a small test to make sure everything works well. But now that we have gone through, no one has had any problems placing orders. Then after this meeting today, we will get it added to our website. There will be a tab that says shop where folks can go online there and order. And we will also start promoting it on our social media. So we hope that you guys will share it as well. No other questions about that? All right. Then in that case, tonight's fundraising idea of the month, I'm going to introduce a guest speaker this evening. He is the district chair here where I am right now, and I have to look at my calendar to see where I am. I'm sitting in someone's guest bedroom in Greensboro, North Carolina, in 7690 is where I am right now. Gary Everhart is the district chair here, and I spoke to one of his clubs yesterday, 2 today. We have 3 more tomorrow before I go home. And we're really trying to make an impact and reach out to the members here. But Gary has been a longtime supporter of our organization. He is a financial planner by trade, and he has some great advice for us as we start talking about fundraising idea of the month. This month, we're going to talk about ways that you can learn more about how to help donors in your district and in your communities and in your clubs. But we do not expect us, any of you or myself, to be the expert in this, but we hope that you can call on Gary if you have questions, or find someone in your district that has the same expertise. But for now, I'm going to let Gary Everhart take over, and he is going to tell you about QCDs.
And I'm going to do that ASAP PDQ. Thank you very much for that introduction. Tiffany, it has been wonderful spending time with you here over the past, I guess, 36 hours or so. And I'm looking forward to 3 really fantastic meetings tomorrow. So I know there may or may not be 1 or more persons here on the Zoom call today who have a background in tax specialties, whether it be income tax, corporate tax, or whatever. And I want to go ahead and clarify something right now. I am not a tax advisor. I do not play one on TV, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I see 3 smiles. Does really nobody else gets that? Tiffany and I just thought that was going to bring the house down today. All right. Regardless, I wanted to say that, and I always say that up front as well. When we're guiding our clients through financial planning, we like to talk about efficiencies. We like to find ways that we can help them be wise with their money and potentially do some really great things with their money. And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, and I do have a resource. I've got a kind of a decent copy on it, but I'm having a better PDF sent to me here shortly that I'll be able to share to you. But just by a show of hands or just waving at me, waving at the camera, who here is familiar with required minimum distributions? We're going to call those RMDs today. See, that's amazing. How do any of you know that? You're not old enough. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you laughing at that, brother. Hey, so RMDs, this is something that basically the federal government makes each and every one of us do, whether we want to or not, once we get to a certain age. Now, we're going to go with a point system today. And I'm going to award 1,000 points to anyone who can unmute themselves and tell me what the original RMD age was. And this is 1,000 points. Just unmute yourself.
70 and a half.
70 and a half. I see a William, aka Bill Parker, was able to get that first 1,000 points today. That's wonderful. Now, Bill, and I'm not going to quiz you on this, but the original date for RMDs, and this is money that has to come out of retirement accounts, federal government says so. That initial age was 70 and a half, and it was the year in which you turned 70 and a half. Therefore, if you were born in January, well, you were going to turn 70 and a half in July. But what if you were born on July the 1st? Well, ironically, you wouldn't turn 70 and a half until the next year. And then after that, you had another year fully until April 1st to do your first RMD. We're not going to really delve into that, although I will say IRS code is very disruptive when it comes to this stuff. It's not clear. And so the government, in their infinite wisdom, decided a couple of years ago, Congress, to pass the Secure Act. So the Secure Act did something to required minimum distribution age. And Bill, you're out for this one. So I would ask anybody else to unmute and tell me what the new RMD age was from the Secure Act.
72.
72. George, get 1,000 points. Fantastic. Running neck and neck with Bill. That is wonderful. Who else knew that? Raise your hand, wave at me. Okay, Michelle, you're just slow. Come on. Unmute, be ready, yell it out. let's have some
Just a
fun
little younger than him.
tonight.
Just kidding, just kidding.
I love it. I love it. And so when it comes to the new age, it's 72. Well, ironically, my dad turned 70 and a half the year in which they filed the Secure Act, the first one that came through. And then, of course, then we had COVID. So nobody had to take an RMD that year, but some people did take an RMD and then they had 60 days to put it back. And anyway, it was a very disruptive year, obviously 2020. So now we're here and the new age for RMDs is 72. However, Secure Act 2.0 comes into play. And can anybody tell me what happened to the new RMD age? Just last month. Anybody? I'm going to keep the 1,000 points if you folks don't answer that.
Raised it
bumped
to
it up to-
73.
Who said that?
Susan.
1,000 points. Susan, I am very tempted to give you 1,001 point for jumping in there and do it, but no, you're running neck and neck with the other one. So now 73 is the magical age for a lot of people, but not for at least a couple people on this screen who were born in the 60s and or the best year ever to be born. Tiffany, can I get a what for 1970? Let's go. That's right. So 75 is actually going to be the age for people. So we're not going to talk about the political implications of that, why they did it or anything else like that. What I want to talk to you about is a way that you can share with the clubs that you're going out to, that you can share with your congregation, that you can share with folks who may not be aware of what I like to call the greatest loophole in all of the IRS code. And that loophole is called a qualified charitable distribution. We'll call it QCDs the rest of the way, but it's a qualified charitable distribution. And what that allows people who have attained a certain age, who have certain retirement investments to do, is to give charitably and or tithe to a 501c3 of their choice. And it really does need to be a 501c3. Ironically, it's between you and the IRS and your tax preparer how you report that. But the day that you turn 70 and a half, and we're going back several years to when that was the first RMD age, there was also a loophole created that said, well, you could give directly to charity through specific retirement accounts. What retirement accounts can you not give directly through to get a tax benefit for doing so? You cannot do it from 401ks. You cannot do it from 403bs. You cannot do it from 457s. You cannot do it from SEP IRAs or simple IRAs that are active. So the first thing to remember is this: it must be an individual retirement arrangement, an IRA, that the funds come out of. But let's just say, for instance, that you turned 70 and a half on October the 4th of 2022, just like one of my clients did. Fortunately, I'd met with him the year before. He loves giving to his congregation. He loves giving to St. Jude's. And yes, he actually was able to give some money to the CART Fund this year. We met late last year and I asked him, his name's Tom. I said, Tom, how do you like to give charitably? What did you do on your tax return? And we kind of got those numbers together. And I said, well, who do you like to give to? He says, well, I like to give to my church and St. Jude's, and this CART Fund thing that you're talking about is very interesting. I said, all right, fantastic. So Tom, here's what I want us to do. In January, when it comes time for you to put money in the offering plate or write a check to St. Jude's or whatever the case may be, we are not going to do that. We're not going to do it in January or February or March, April, May, June, July, August, and September. We're going to wait until October the 4th, the day that you turn 70 and a half. And since your money is invested with me and it's in an IRA, we had rolled it from his 401k into an IRA, Tom, we are going to give for the entire year in one fell swoop. We're going to do that through a qualified charitable distribution. There is a simple form that any custodian, if you have your money with Ameriprise or Edward Jones or my magnificent company, Thrivent or Fidelity or Vanguard or whoever you have the funds with, they're probably not going to tell you unless you have a financial planner that this is an option for you. But what I would say is, and I know we've got a couple of new folks who have just come in. I'm gonna do a quick rehash. Folks, we're talking about required minimum distributions, RMDs, and qualified charitable distributions, which are QCDs. And to cut to the chase on this, the day you turn 70 and a half and for the rest of your life, you can give charitably and you can tithe through your IRAs, not through 401ks, 457s, 403bs, but through IRAs. And when you do so, you don't pay any taxes on that distribution. The charity that you get receives that distribution and doesn't pay any taxes on the distribution. Unfortunately, our national debt at that point goes up by the few thousands of dollars that you might have given that you didn't pay taxes on. But in the end, I want to pay exactly as much taxes as I need to and not one penny more. This is a way to disinherit the IRS once they tell you that you have to start taking money out of these retirement accounts. But remember what we talked about earlier. So I see Connie, Kara, that you've come on. Welcome. The original day that you had to start taking RMDs was 70 and a half. So keep that, put a pin in that because that's an important date. It was the year that you turned in 70 and a half, but now the day you turn 70 and a half and for the rest of your life, you can give up to $100,000 per year in a qualified charitable distribution. Now, once you get to the required minimum distribution age, which is now going to be 73 for most of the people who are on the call today, that will be the year in which you turn 73. You'll have to pull out an amount. Now, the approximate percentage is it's a little less than 4% for that first year. Okay. Can anybody tell me, and again, just unmute and just give me a quick answer, except for the people who've already answered. Can anybody tell me what happens to that? Let's call it 4%. What happens to that percentage as you get older that you have to take out? Can anybody tell me that?
Get smaller.
Okay, that's a good guess, Suzanne. Not exactly right.
I think it
Johnny,
goes
come on,
up.
man.
I
Come
think
on,
it
Johnny.
increases.
Where are you? Hey, Glenda, what'd you say?
I said it goes up. You have
It
to take
actually
out more.
does. It increases. Now, Suzanne, on one end of that, you might think, well, I've got $1 million in my IRA and I've got to pull 4% out, right? So I got to give $40,000 to charity or keep it myself. I pay taxes on what I keep myself, right? So that shrinks the amount that we have in our investment account. But the next year, unless we get good market returns, and by the way, show of hands, who got good market returns last year? Yeah, I didn't think so. So what we look at for the next year is that percentage that we had to take out, which let's call it 4%, goes up to like 4.1 or 4.2. Well, what's the bottom line with all of this? Well, by the time that we hit our 90s and we're having to take out 10, 11, 12% of that money in our retirement accounts in our 90s, our IRAs just go away. They can't keep up with that amount. So to circle back around, my goal today was to encourage and I don't see anybody on here who I think is over the age of 70 and a half, but once you folks get to that point, I would highly encourage you the day you turn 70 and a half, work with your advisor, find out what your balance is on your account. No, you don't have to take any money out at 70 and a half now. You don't have to take any money out at 71. You don't have to take any money out at 72. Many of you will have to start taking money out at 73. Tiffany and I, and anybody else who was born in the 60s or the magnificent 70s, will not have to take any money out till we're 75. But does that mean that we won't? We don't have to, but should we? And there are many reasons why you should. I'm going to park it right there for just a second. And especially since we had a couple people come on late, any specific questions from anything that I've mentioned so far? Wow, crystal clear. That's fantastic. So what is one of the reasons that we should do a qualified charitable distribution? Well, it reduces our modified adjusted gross income. Now, I see maybe one or two people on here today that could be old enough for Medicare as well. Medicare kicks in at age 65. So when you folks get to that age, just know that if you are on Medicare and your modified adjusted gross income goes up to a certain level, you could have a Medicare penalty. And that's not fun. It's not fun for anyone. It's definitely not fun for folks who go from a joint tax return to a single tax return, as I know there's a few people on here who have done that. When we take a look at what the income levels are for joint versus single to have Medicare penalties as well, we will want to reduce our modified adjusted gross income. A qualified charitable distribution is a great way to do that. Folks, please pay attention to what I say next. Even if you itemize, there is still a very good reason to do your charitable through a qualified charitable distribution. Gone through that. So again, you must take RMDs at the appropriate age, but you should begin qualified charitable distributions the day you turn 70 and a half. So think about the folks that you know at your church, or folks that you know who are involved with CART, or clubs that you might go to speak to. There's a lot of folks out there that don't know they can give through a qualified charitable distribution. And let's say these folks today are in the 22% tax bracket. Well, here in North Carolina, we have a 4.5% state tax as well. So if I give $1,000 through my IRA, because I'm at least 70 and a half, to my congregation or to the CART fund, do I have to pay a penny of taxes on that $1,000? No, I don't. But if I'm in the 22% tax bracket and I've got a 4.5% state, how much could I give effectively to the CART fund if I did it through my IRA to give me the same benefit as giving $1,000? I would be giving $1,265 to the CART fund instead of just $1,000. So either keep the tax savings or give more money through your retirement accounts to the CART fund or any other charity that you choose, but specifically the CART fund, because that happens to be near and dear to my heart. It's called the CART fund, CARTFUND.org. And unless there's any questions.
Yeah, Gary had a question.
Yes, sir.
How do you handle it? So you take your IRA
Mm-hmm.
and you give it to the charitable organization.
Yeah.
When you're filing your income tax, it can't go on a charitable contribution again, can it?
You are correct, Jim. What happens is your custodian is going to send you a 1099-R.
Mm-hmm.
That is the required minimum distribution form. And let's say it says $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your goal at that point is to notate on that form that it was a QCD made out to whatever organization.
Yeah.
Now, if you put that it was a QCD made out to the CART fund, but it was really money that you just took out and went and spent, and you get audited, that could be problematic.
Yeah.
But the trust level right there for the guy, it's just not there for a custodian to say, well, because Jim wants to give $1,000 to the CART fund, we're going to cut the check to the CART fund. But we're not going to take the time to look up the 501c3 and the EIN number, and are they in good standing, and how much do they give to research, and so forth and so on. They're just going to cut the check at your direction, Jim.
Okay.
And I tell you my favorite thing. Well, I'll tell you my least favorite thing. My dad does 7 of these, guys, and it just drives me nuts because I have to do 7 of these every year for my father. But in the same vein, Tiffany saw this today. Because I held on to the check. I knew she was coming into town. I said, Tiffany, you got to help me with this portal. You just got to help me with the portal. I'm still running through the drive-through at Wells Fargo, and the same lady's going, when are you going to use the portal in the drive-through? So for me to be able to, cash my father's check today, in essence, that it was issued like the end of end of December. We finally put it in today. It was a nice chunk of change, and it was part of the money that my father is required to pull out of his IRAs. But number one, he didn't need it. Number two, he wanted it to bless others. And number three, well, his dad's the one that passed from Alzheimer's, and his mother's the one that lost her battle due to being a caregiver for too long. So that was an easy sell for me to say, hey, Dad, let's do some of our giving to the CART fund, and let's do it through your IRA because it won't cost you a penny in taxes. And I'm going to email, I got an email with something that kind of looked like a PDF on it. I was going to share it today with folks. I'm just going to email that to Tiffany and she can distribute it to everybody here. But it's just something from my company that talks about how the QCDs work, some examples of how you can use them. But literally, when I tell you it is the biggest no-brainer in the history of giving for those who are eligible to do it, I'm repeating the words of multiple CPAs who have told me that. So Connie, Kara, not a tax advisor, don't play one on TV, didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. That's me. See, both of them smiled. They laughed. Why didn't, okay, anyway. I think that'll pretty much do it for me. Michelle, did you have a question?
No, I just had a comment. I want to thank you for all of that. It's fabulous. There are some companies, though, that do require paperwork. I have two this last few months. And so Tiffany and I are happy to fill out the paperwork. It's really not very difficult for them to check before that. They will write that check for distribution.
Oh, really?
So
okay. Well, that's good to know.
It is out there.
Thank you. Thank you. And has anyone here, considered doing a qualified charitable distribution? Maybe we're going to think about doing a qualified charitable distribution. You can just smile for the CART fund. Yeah, I see you smiling out there. So just as an, wrapping things up, great opportunity. Should you give between 70.5 and the remainder of your life? Yes, you should. Your client should, your friends should, the people at your church should. Talk to your treasurer at your congregation if you attend and say, hey, are you getting just checks from, Fidelity and Vanguard and from other people? People are just giving you and they're tithing for the whole year. And they'll probably say yes, but they may not be that aware of even what these folks are doing. And they don't care. They're just going to deposit the check. What they don't understand in some cases is that there are opportunities to go out there and reach out to the folks in the senior community that are tithers or that are givers and say, hey, is there a different way we can do this? And what an incredible gift. Can you guys imagine if one of us happened to hit somebody up here, even in the next few weeks, but I'll say the coming months or the coming years, and that person said, you know what, I've got to pull $100,000 out of my IRA. I don't need it. And I was going to give 50 grand to the CART. So then I could itemize, but you know what, maybe I'll just give that 100 because I don't have to pay any taxes on it whatsoever. And then boom, we hit our $1 million goal. And it was all because you just planted a seed with somebody that it was a good way to do it. So it's great to see everybody here this evening. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to mute myself, but keep up the good work.
Gary, thank you so much. It is great information. It is certainly something that we want to learn more about, and we want to be able to somewhat intelligently share with others. We do not try to be experts either, but we certainly want to be able to share that information and point them in the right direction when they have questions. So thank you, Gary, for that. Yet another exciting idea for our fundraising idea of the month. I just wanted to mention one more thing with you guys is that, as Gary mentioned, tomorrow morning, we will be presenting a very special award, the Changemaker Award for his district here in his district. And if you have not done that in your district yet, please consider doing that perhaps at an upcoming district meeting or district conference or something like that. And again, as a reminder, that is one per district. The district chair has that discretion to decide who they would like to recognize. We will be happy to update the certificate for you and email it to you if you want to print it, or if you want to have a plaque made or whatever you want to do. Suzanne, her district had a great plaque made for Larry back in December, and Gary's wife took care of everything for him tomorrow so that he doesn't have to worry about doing that. And we will be able to make a nice presentation tomorrow morning as well. So just a reminder that we have that out there, the Changemaker Award, and that is at your discretion to select who that recipient is in your district. I want to remind you to please go on to DAC-TV and go ahead and register for the future meetings for this and for the training session on February 21st, if you would like to attend that. But I also want to remind you that in the next few days, you should see the registration come open for the annual meeting. And I hope that when that happens, you will consider putting an article in your district newsletter and in your club newsletters as well to remind them that anyone is invited to come to that. And Michelle is actually working on a list of some of our major donors to the CART Fund this past year to make sure that they get a special invitation to know that we would like for them to come. So we would love to have as many people there as possible. We thank you for your time tonight. We know how valuable it is, and we appreciate all that you do for CART.